Imagine being born with no memory, only the instinct to run. For this stickman, the world was a clean white void, and the first thing he ever saw was his own undoing, a colossal pink eraser scrubbing his path out of existence. He didn't know who he was or why he was there, only that he had to outrun the smudge of oblivion chasing him. Every line he stood on, every simple shape that formed his world could be wiped away in an instant. This wasn't just a challenge, it was the horrifying nature of his reality. He was a drawing, a temporary thought on a page, and the creator was getting bored. The problem was absolute powerlessness. A pencil line would appear from the sky, boxing him in. A giant disembodied hand would descend, plucking him from the ground and dangling him over a crudely drawn spike pit for amusement. He once had a friend, a simple stick dog with a wagging tail line, but a moment of creative whim saw the dog erased, leaving him utterly alone in his sterile prison. He was a puppet whose strings were the very lines that gave him form, controlled by an unseen, uncaring God. There was no negotiating, no pleading. There was only the sudden, terrifying imposition of a new reality, a new torment, a new game he was forced to play. But in the endless cycle of creation and destruction, a spark of defiance began to glow. He started to learn. The first solution was understanding the tools. He noticed the eraser was slow and clumsy around the edges of the page. He started treating the border of his world not as a wall, but as a refuge, a thin strip of safety the pink monster couldn't easily reach. He learned to anticipate the pencil stroke, using a newly drawn ramp not as an obstacle, but as a launch pad to escape a cage being drawn around him. The creator's attempts to trap him became his new tools for freedom. The second solution was rebellion through misuse. The animator drew a giant magnifying glass, focusing a beam of light to try and burn him. Instead of running from the light, he ran towards a crudely drawn puddle of ink. He dove in, the focused light now hitting the reflective black surface and splashing back, cracking the lens of the magnifying glass in the sky. He was no longer just a character. He was a glitch in the system, an unexpected variable. The creator, frustrated, tried to simply select him with a digital mouse cursor and hit delete. But this was the final mistake. Seeing this ethereal arrow, this perfect, clean vector from another dimension, changed everything. This was the true hand of his God. He realized he wasn't on paper, he was on a screen. The ultimate solution was to break the fourth wall. He began to lead the cursor on a chase. He dodged and weaved, not away from it, but towards other things on the screen he could now faintly perceive beyond his white canvas. He led it to the undo button, which had accidentally clicked, bringing his long-lost stick dog back in a flash of light. And then he saw his final escape, a folder icon sitting on the desktop background just beyond the edge of his program window. With a final, desperate burst of speed, he baited the cursor into trying to click on him, but sidestepped at the last second. The cursor double-clicked the folder. As it opened, he made a leap of faith, jumping out of his world and into the vast, unknown grid of the computer's file system. He was no longer a drawing. He was data. He was free.